As a young orphaned boy living on the streets, Shuji was often beaten and bullied. He recalled that as he grew older, the names they called him changed. The adult Shuji stood with a vacant stare, talking down to his tormentors. Time passed, and he received new titles in adulthood, like Venomous Snake Spear and Spear Demon, earned by taking down so many with his spear. Eventually, he stood powerful upon a massive pile of lifeless, bloodied bodies, having risen to the top by beating everyone. He even earned the grand title of Spear King. As he became older, the only clothes he wore were worn-out rags. He remembered the simple food, just a potato, that sustained his days, finding it sufficient. In the middle of a battlefield, ready for a fight, he gripped his weapon tightly, revealing the harsh reality of the place he called home. He sliced through his enemies like vegetables. Covered in their blood, he stood against the enemy forces, who began calling him a monster. An enemy commander roared defiance, trying to quell the fear by reminding his men there was only one enemy. Leading his soldiers forward, the commander vowed victory if they could just eliminate him, ordering everyone to charge forward. Multiple spears converged on him with deadly speed, but Shuji jumped and dodged them all. A soldier's face filled with shock and terror. Shuji descended from above, poised in midair, and thrust his spear through the soldier's head. Enraged voices cried out, calling Shuji a bastard and ordering him to die. As the scene unfolded, he questioned himself. Was this something he was born to do, or did he learn to do it? Shuji gritted his teeth, his eyes burning with a powerful light as he reflected on his nature. A blade flashed, cutting down many in a whirlwind of violence and blood. Battered and weary, Shuji stood amidst the fallen, acknowledging the countless lives he had ended. Grasping his blood-soaked spear, he stood ready, having faced the enemy with a single weapon that now gleamed, surrounded by swirling, malevolent red energy. As the battle ended under the vast moonlit night sky, he sat on a pile of his enemy's blood and reflected on surviving the horrifying conflict. At last, he declared, the weight of the slaughter settled in as the anger and bitterness of the deceased victims surfaced. He closed his eyes to take his final rest. A colossal weapon stood plunged into a chaotic mass under a moonlit, star-scattered sky. The one always scorned as trash had met his end on the brutal battlefield. His broken form lay still, shattered and defeated. Yes, this was meant to be the final chapter. But was this twist an error or the hand of destiny itself? He was supposed to fade into decay, but he got reincarnated. A baby's eyes snapped open, glowing with fierce, burning red energy as a cry of awakening echoed, and thus the one they called trash was sent back through time. A sharp cry echoed through a bright, cloudy sky. Shuji found himself on the forest floor with his hands raised in confusion. Looking at his hands, he realized he was not a baby. He spotted a mirror and picked it up, startled by what he saw. He observed his teenage reflection, a youthful appearance that made him think he might be in the time when he worked as a hero in hand. Suddenly, Shuji heard cursing. He turned with intense anger, his eyes sharp. He came out of the woods to find a brutal clash unfolding. Swords and spears met in a bloody struggle between two groups as cries of pain filled the air. Facing off were rough-looking figures, identifiable as forest bandits. Opposing them were the guards of the Howling Tiger Escort Bureau. Standing firm, Shuji stood nearby, his gaze fixed on the violent scene, reflecting on being thrust into a battlefield immediately after his reincarnation. As someone approached from behind, he broke the mirror. A large, muscular bandit confronted him with a fierce, questioning gaze. Without turning back, Shuji assessed the man, wondering if he was the true escort master or just a helper. When he turned, he recognized their affiliation, identifying them as forest bandits. He reflected that these were ruthless scoundrels who preyed on others, but he sensed something more. Looking closer, Shuji observed the bandit's expression, noticing his eyes were trembling and his body was tense with fear. He realized, despite their appearance, most of these attackers were simply inexperienced amateurs. His face contorted in rage, sweat beading on his brow, as he declared that Shuji was part of the target. "I will kill every last one of them," he shouted, swinging his blade down with immense force. Shuji calmly thought that he expected this predictable move. He caught his opponent's weapon with impactful force. With his eyes glowing red, Shuji charged forward, multiple afterimages trailing him, and with a single strike, he thrust his spear into the man's chest. The man looked down at the fatal wound, blood pooling, his eyes wide with horror and disbelief at his free ticket to hell.
Shuji stood engulfed in dark purple energy, declaring that despite losing his war feats, he retained his martial arts. His eyes glowed with intense dark energy that wisped around his mouth as the power built. A crimson core pulsed with energy within him as he revealed this despised technique was his only choice now. A younger Shuji, holding his spear with an enemy impaled on it, starts walking, while a man with a bow hid behind a tree, ready to strike. He thought about his return to the past as a desperate cry echoed in the background. An opponent leapt forward and shot an arrow, cursing Shuji to die. Shuji watched the incoming attack, his expression focused and ready. A powerful impact occurred at his head, sending out shockwaves and a burst of energy. The man with the bow had a frantic grin and a blood-stained face. He laughed in twisted triumph, believing he had secured his survival. But suddenly, a sharp spear pierced him through the chest, his smug expression twisting into disbelieving shock. He collapsed, blood staining the ground as he also got a free ticket. Shuji declared he was expecting that ambush. Standing over the enemy, he delivered a cold lesson on the fatal mistake of underestimating a foe. He violently thrust his weapon, hanging another enemy on his spear like a trophy. Lifting the spear, now carrying two bodies, he adjusted his grip, feeling the familiar, satisfying weight. He reflected that this intense scene brought back memories of the old days. Blood spattered violently across the dry, cracked earth as more bandits gasped in pain and pooled on the ground. The remaining bandits panicked at the horrifying scene. Shuji walked calmly, his staff in hand, carrying two bodies on his spear. An unknown bandit saw this and asked, "Who's this crazy guy?" A large, muscular man holding an axe declared himself the leader of the forest bandits. Shuji expressed eager anticipation for the confrontation. The bandit leader grinned menacingly at Shuji and declared he would kill him. Shuji maintained an intense gaze, ready for the challenge. The bandit leader threw the axe with immense force. Shuji evaded the attack, a dismissive, "Huh," escaping his lips as he maintained a calm expression. The bandit leader sweated and gritted his teeth in frustration, shouting at Shuji for dodging like a rat. His eye narrowed, a drop of sweat on his face. Shuji acknowledged his opponent's impressive physical strength. He swung his spear along with the bodies hanging from it. The bandit leader's eyes widened in disbelief as Shuji stated that was all he had to offer. With a single slice, he cut him in half. His intense gaze cut through the gore as he declared this swift, brutal strike is what a real attack looks like. The victim fell impaled with horrifying precision as a nearby bandit reeled back in disbelief. Shuji stood amidst the carnage, his presence terrifying the bandits, who whispered of a monster in their midst. Chaos erupted as their leader's body fell. Shuji looked composed yet confused, feeling his spear was lighter than before. He thrust it into the dead bandit leader, making him a part of his spear collection. The onlookers trembled as they heard Shuji speak about feeling better after hanging the leader. Wide-eyed with fear, a man screamed a warning to run, calling Shuji a monster. And thus, Shuji watched, a knowing realization crossing his features. When blood and demon meet on the battlefield, the tri-colored Dango mountain dead bandits were engulfed by dark energy. Covered in blood, Shuji wore a chilling smile, finding satisfaction watching demons coming out of the bodies. The time was rewind 10 years, and on that very mountain, the spear demon had returned.
Under the light of the full moon, a battle raged. A warrior with a bloody face shouted orders, demanding that no one escape. Nearby, two men clashed swords in the dark, their faces grim. An arm was severed and its owner collapsed, struck down in pain. Bodies began to litter the ground as blood spattered, the sounds of struggle filling the night air. Amidst it all, a warrior stood over a fallen foe, ready to deliver another strike. And then there was Shuji. He stood composed, a swirling red aura around him, as if the wind itself was on his side. He stated that their enemies could not be allowed to live. A nearby warrior reacted with surprise at his declaration. Shuji moved, a blur of motion slicing through the chaos. He confronted the arrogant bounty hunters, questioning who they thought they were trying to kill. As a wounded figure cried out for help, Shuji stood firm, his energy glowing red as he dared his foes to attack. A scream of pure agony tore through the air, a man's face contorted in fear. As the bandits fell, their dark souls rose from their bodies. One of the souls recognized a figure among them, their former leader Igo, and urged him to rejoin them. Shuji calmly acknowledged their presence, observing the ghostly entities and noting the strength of their new boss. The souls boasted of their leader's power, and Shuji agreed to their request to meet him. A sinister grin spread across his face as he declared that their current leader would be consumed entirely. Suddenly, the former leader, Igo, charged forward, his eyes glowing an aggressive blue. He laughed menacingly, swinging his sword at those nearby. A voice called his name, causing him to stop in surprise. He screamed in fury, demanding to know who dared to speak his name. A powerful, swift attack struck him, and he recoiled. It was Shuji. Igo struggled to block the rapid assault, but was thrown backward, injured and defeated. He cursed Shuji, demanding to know the intruder's identity. Shuji stood calmly amidst the gore, his spear held steady, unsettlingly still bodies hanging from its shaft, accompanied by menacing red souls. Igo stared in wide-eyed shock, questioning what kind of madman would impale people on a spear. The souls of his dead comrades swirled around him, asking why he alone was left alive. Shuji and the souls leered with terrifying grins, beckoning Igo to come closer.
Tears streamed down Aigo's face as he whimpered. Who the hell are you? He screamed desperately, calling Shuji a demon while the dead souls called for him to join them on their free ticket to hell. Lost in the darkness, Aigo pleaded for help, his voice choked with terror. A terrifying red energy engulfed Shuji, transforming him into a demonic form with piercing eyes that radiated immense power. In one swoop, he cut Aigo's head clean off. He stood over his fallen opponent, his weapon stained with blood, his own eyes wide with a mix of intensity and unease. The silence hung heavy as he recalled a forbidden ritual. Calling a name 3 times can send a soul straight to the underworld. A slight smirk played on his lips, acknowledging the chilling effectiveness of the power that had just claimed another soul. His mind drifted back. Under a vast, starlit sky, the silent mountains stood witness to a memory. A pained sigh escaped into the misty air. Bloodied fingers gripped the cold heart ground as a younger Shuji pulled himself forward, his hands raw on the rocky surface. Sweat beaded on his brow as he cursed being the rookie stuck with this miserable scouting duty. He collapsed against a rock, breathing heavily and muttering about the military bastards who sent him there. Suddenly, a chilling feeling washed over him, and his eyes widened in terror. He snapped his head back to see a shadowy form with glowing red eyes emerging from the darkness. He questioned what that terrifying sight could be. He ran, trying to identify the horror pursuing him, wondering if it was a beast or something spectral. Terror was etched across his face as he realized this was something far worse, the dark entity looming just behind him. He stood resolute, determined not to look back. He twisted in agony as dark energy enveloped him, his internal voice screaming in defiance, urging him not to turn. A chilling voice questioned his struggle to survive, dismissing his life as worthless. The voice belonged to a dark figure with piercing red eyes, sitting unnervingly calm amidst a scene of death. The figure offered a tempting gamble, a chance to escape his miserable fate. Shuji glanced back with a wary expression, asking how could he trust someone like him. The dark figure laughed, complimented his bravery, and demanded his name. Shuji looked forward, startled, and finally responded, "Shuji." The shadowed figure's piercing red eyes flared. "What did you say?" he demanded. Bruised and defiant, Shuji shouted his name again, his face contorted with pain. "I will ask one more time," the figure declared, and suddenly grabbed Shuji's neck, lifting him into the air. Shuji struggled to speak, trying to repeat his name through the pain. The attack had been a forceful blur of motion, a terrifying speed he couldn't even perceive. Gripped tightly by the throat, blood dripping from his mouth, Shuji's mind raced with the chilling realization. Under the pale moon, the shadowy figure revealed his secret. If he wants to kill someone, he just has to ask for their name 3 times.
The figure spoke of a master who had bestowed this demonic power upon him. He was an old man with piercing red eyes, the embodiment of evil in the martial world, a man known as the Blood Demon, Ko-Ko-Fu. The memory faded, and in the present, Suji unleashed a barrage with his spear, cutting down multiple foes. He braced himself as 2 more enemies rushed him, branding him a monster and demanding his death. Yet as the fight settled, Suji's face was weary, but his mind was unexpectedly clear, sharper than it had ever been. He held his weapon, reflecting on how the demonic power he received was incomplete. It was a seed meant to consume him, but instead, he felt refreshed. Closing his eyes, he questioned what had changed. A surge of bright mystical energy surrounded his core and flowed through his entire body. A sudden realization hit him. He recalled the difference the demonic power had made in his past life, something he'd forgotten after joining the army. He remembered a lesson learned as a child in a smoky forest, the Miao tribe's breathing technique. He understood now that this was what allowed him to keep his mind clear despite the demonic power. He mused on the strange coincidence, recalling Ko-Ko-Fu's warning that he would lose his sanity until he completely mastered the power. A subtle, sinister smile played on his lips as he wondered what face Ko-Ko-Fu would make if he found out. His thoughts were cut short by a simple call from behind. His expression turned questioning as he looked back. The masked group he had saved bowed deeply, expressing their heartfelt thanks. The woman leading them bowed respectfully, but under her hat, her sharp eyes narrowed, thinking she knew this would happen. She looked intently at Suji, wondering why someone like him was working as a simple convoy guard. He politely asked if he would be willing to continue lending them his formidable strength. Suji stood with arms crossed and gave a blunt, absolute refusal. The woman was utterly shocked. "If there's no further business, I'm leaving," Suji stated.
turning to walk away. She reacted urgently, thinking she couldn't simply let him go. Determined, she moved swiftly from behind, her hand reaching not to strike, but to offer a shimmering golden token. It was a token for the Tiger Pit sect. The woman explained its importance, that taking it to their enforcement bureau in Anhui would earn him the respect of an honored guest. She offered it as a symbol of sincerity from Shueika, a first-class escort of the Tiger Pit sect. Suji, his face spattered with blood, took the token with a questioning look. The name stirred something within him. He remembered the Tiger Pit sect, once known for their honest operations. And then his thoughts shifted to a horrific scene of burning ruins and blood, the tragic end the sect would meet years later, vanishing without a trace. He accepted the token. The woman beamed with sincere gratitude, and her group bowed low in a parting gesture, promising to meet again. Suji, serious as ever, approached a dark horse, stating his intention to borrow it. The horse recoiled dramatically, its eyes wide with terror. The woman shouted in alarm, explaining that the horse was wild and difficult. But she and her companion could only stare in disbelief as Suji effortlessly mounted the problematic horse and calmly rode away, leaving them stunned. The woman was utterly shocked, her mouth agape. She pointed in disbelief, exclaiming that the horse was so scared it had wet itself. A thoughtful expression crossed her face as she called Suji a monster for his age and incredible skill. Her companion teased her, asking if this powerful, handsome man was exactly her type. "What a rude thing to say about our benefactor," she snapped, her hand on her sword. "Are you trying to die?" No, I was just kidding, I'm sorry." The man with the eye patch quickly backtracked. She sheathed her sword, thinking she had seen something others had missed. Her group wondered what she saw in Suji's spear technique, speculating he was from a noble family. She calmly corrected them, stating it wasn't martial arts, but a military spear technique, mastered far beyond his apparent age. She concluded he was most likely the son of a powerful military family on a warrior's journey. Closing her eyes, she prayed he wouldn't ignore their sex crisis, pleading for him to save the Tiger Pit sect from the Black Dao sect. Miles away, Suji rode on, his horse having just received a stern warning not to piss again. His thoughts turned to the token in his possession. He questioned if the Tiger Pit sect was still standing and wondered about the well-being of a specific person. A chilling image appeared in his mind, a scarred smiling face, half burned. He recalled the name that went with it, Eiko.
A soft light glows as petals fall around a serene vision. As Eiku is introduced, Shuji reacts with an expression of disbelief, surprised by the thought that Eiku was a woman. He considers using the gold token to enter the Tiger Pit sect and find out for himself, but knows showing it would interfere with his future actions. There must be another way, he thinks. Just then, someone shouts, "Hey!" A man bursts from a building yelling at Shuji. The man grabs him, expressing anger and distrust, and demands to know why Shuji ran away from cleaning up the horse manure. He continues asking where the others are as he pulls Shuji away, who ends up on the ground. The man muses about Shuji being homeless. Shuji thinks there's a misunderstanding, but it works out for him. The stable manager, Wu Tuyen, introduces himself and gives instructions. He explains the job is handling manure and feed, commenting that it's still better than being homeless. He then asks Shuji if he remembers the explanation from 2 days ago. Annoyed, Shuji replies that he doesn't know, causing the larger man to yell in disbelief. Wu Tuyen shouts at Shuji, questioning his memory and attitude. He lists Shuji's hardships and reminds him how he was taken in, but Shuji doesn't respond. The angry man's face contorts as he yells that the sect didn't need Shuji and insists he should do his job properly instead of running away. Shuji quietly replies that he understands. Suddenly, a horse bursts through, rearing up in a frenzy. It knocks the men aside violently, and one cries out as he's thrown. Shuji wonders why the horse appeared so suddenly. The horse looks fierce and wild, and someone questions where it came from. Amidst the sudden chaos, Shuji stands unharmed. A laugh echoes, and someone exclaims that the horse is top grade, as expected. We are introduced to Zhao from the Zhao clan, who comments that even though he paid enough to buy a mansion for it, the wild horse is still hard to handle. His subordinate informs him that one of the stable boys got injured. Zhao cruelly responds that it doesn't matter, as they aren't better than dogs anyway, suggesting they just toss them some feed on their way out. Shuji watches the scene with intense eyes. Another man reveals this troublemaker is the perverted Zhao brat, questioning his presence. Wu Tuyen cries out about his injured leg. Shuji's expression turns grim as he remembers hearing about Zhao from Eiku in his past life. He recalls Zhao was the mastermind who caused the downfall of the Tiger Pit sect. Noticing the strong stench of horse dung, Zhao decides they should go inside quickly, remarking that just being seen by these guys makes him feel like his clothes are getting dirty. Fanning himself, Zhao walks away with his subordinate following. Someone arrives saying they heard there was a guest. It was Yang Zhao. An unknown man, identified as Tiger Pit sect leader Ko Gannan, asks what brought him to this place. Zhao replies there is only one reason he'd come, calling Ko Gannan his father-in-law. With a sinister smile, he states he has come to visit his future bride. Ko Gannan reacts strongly, mentioning Aku, and says he has no recollection of approving a marriage involving her. Zhao replies that might be true for now, but he intends to hold the wedding once Aku turns 16. Tiger Pit sect leader Ko Gannan is filled with immense anger. Zhao speaks confidently about a wedding between him and Aku within a year, claiming the rumor is already the talk of the region. The Tiger Pit sect leader demands to know if Zhao was the one who spread the rumor, accusing him of trying to ruin his daughter's future. Zhao seems amused, dismissing the accusation by saying his Zhao clan is far inferior to the Ko clan, and then asks if they would go that far just to marry the daughter of the Tiger Pit sect. Aku's father reacts with shocked rage, his eyes glowing red with fury as he calls Zhao an insolent brat. Suddenly, a gentle yet firm voice is heard. Good. Aku's father reacts in surprise as flower petals begin to fall around her. Aku stands amidst the falling petals, stating, in that case, there will be no engagement between our families.
The Tiger Pit sect leader feels a wave of relief, while Zhao looks surprised by the sudden announcement. Iko tells Zhao to find another woman, but he stutters in surprise and warns them about dangerous rumors. Iko states there is no point in talking further as she and her father give him a menacing look. She clearly declares she has no intention of marrying him or anyone from the Zhao clan so they can leave. Zhao scoffs, annoyed. He insults Iko, mentioning the sect's financial state and calling her as arrogant as ever. Zhao and his group turn and walk away. His men ask what they should do. Zhao reveals they only stopped by on their way to the brothel and, with a mocking grin, decide they should leave for today. But just as the rumors said, right? Zhao silently asks his subordinate. The man replies, actually, she's even more beautiful than the rumors claimed. Zhao grins. Now do you understand why I'm obsessed with her? He sighs slightly. With that kind of beauty? Wind blows past Zhao as he looks towards the imposing Tiger Pit sect gate, thinking, she's far too beautiful to be the daughter of the Tiger Pit sect. He concludes grimly, but it's already too late. A wicked man like me has set his eyes on her. Poor girl. His subordinate echoes, what a poor girl. Zhao and his men erupt in loud laughter. A whip cracks sharply, a boot lands firmly on the ground, and a voice declares, let's head to the brothel. Suddenly, Zhao is confused as his horse stops moving. His guard asks what's wrong. Zhao wonders if the horse is sick, and the guard looks confused too. The horse becomes visibly distressed, cries out as he falls, and then collapses to the ground. Suji watches the commotion from a doorway. The guard wonders why the horse suddenly collapsed and asks where the stable boys are. Suji's hand is shown grasping a bloody organ. He looks at it and thinks it is useless. The technique he used is called the foxclaw technique, the art of the vixen. Suji took the liver without leaving a mark, thinking that nobody will know why the horse died. Still, he thinks, that man was the real cause of everything. He thinks of what Iko once said about the fall of the Tiger Pit sect. It was due to a power struggle with the Zhao clan manor, but that man was pulling the strings from the shadows. Did Iko know that? Of course she did. That's exactly why she saw her own beauty as a curse. Back in reality, he clutches his fist and shatters the liver. Now he finally understands why she burned her own face with fire. Suji clenches his bloodied, radiating fist. There is no need to hesitate in avenging his sworn brother. He jumps onto a rooftop to leave, thinking, from here on, I will take action. Suji moves swiftly through the air with rapid movement. The scene shifts to night in Anhui Province, Naimatsu Prefecture, where laughter, cheers, and curses are heard. Suji pauses in front of a shop whose sign says it sells all kinds of farming tools, thinking about how long it has been since he was last here. He steps into the room. A man asks who he is. Suji introduces himself. The person says they don't know anyone by that name. The blacksmith, bandaged and rugged, sits and declares he's retired, telling Suji to go somewhere else. Suji says he already knows that and demands that the blacksmith make him a hammer. Ha! The blacksmith exclaims, taking a drink. Suji starts specifying. The hammer should be 17 sun long and 4 sun in circumference, adding that the head should be spherical. The weight should be kept under 10 jin. The blacksmith reacts with wide eyes. Iko's father declares a weapon is useless. The blacksmith offers more options.
Suji requests specific materials and size, adding that he wants a strong, heavy weapon. The blacksmith asks the weapon type. Suji answers, spear. The blacksmith swings his stick to the side and shows a large spear, stating it's his best. He explains it will take a day to sharpen. Suji agrees, but then asks about small, sharp weapons. The blacksmith confirms he has them, swinging his stick again and breaking a box. A pile of sharp iron spikes starts coming out of the box. Suji identifies the spikes and expresses his interest in taking all of them. The blacksmith holds his tool and asks where to deliver the large order. In response, Suji states he will come to pick it up. He is told he seems very eager, but buying this much gear will be expensive. The blacksmith's gaze is intense. Suji meets his stare and tells him to name his price. He waits for a response. The blacksmith looks pained as he begins to speak. He reveals that 3 days ago his daughter died. Suji remains silent, absorbing the revelation. The blacksmith asks, is there any way to bring her back? Suji looks towards him. The blacksmith comments that Suji reeked of blood so much he thought he was a ghost, but guesses not. He then tells Suji to never mind, just kill the ones who killed his daughter in his place. Suji asks who is responsible. The blacksmith reveals it was the Black Dao sect. As Suji understands and starts to leave, the blacksmith clarifies there are 4 of them. He emphatically tells Suji to listen carefully and make sure he heard him right. A red aura erupts as Suji replies there is no need to even hear the enemy's name. He states that it doesn't matter either way. His voice is as cold as a promise to kill them all. The scene opens with the name Ko-Iku, remembering the one met after enlisting in the army, the one who became the first true bond in a past life. A memory of comrades cheering in a military camp at night. Their excited shouts fill the air. Suddenly, a hostile voice rings out. A sharp kick lands, demanding tribute from a newcomer. The impact sends ripples through the ground. Shuji stands challenged, questioning the demand for tribute. The senior clarifies the harsh rule: new recruits must offer their dinner. A muscular senior laughs menacingly, ready to enforce the rule. Shuji gives a dismissive scoff. He observes the absurd pecking order of the camp. Unexpectedly, a small rock is thrown at him. Unknown person declares he's also just got here, and that makes him newest guy. He menacingly asks the senior, is he going to take his ration? Listening this, senior read to deliver a shocking blow, but Iku smashing the potato right into senior's face. Senior cries out in pain and disbelief, realizing he was hit by a potato. Iku calmly tells senior to eat the potato to fill his stomach. Iku adds a mocking condition about seniors having teeth left. Senior groans in agony from the impact. Iku follows up with a barrage of physical strike. Senior is sent reeling from Iku's attack. He collapses from the force. Iku stands ready, holding another potato, challenging Co-Senior to come back for more. Iku issues a final harsh threat about knocking out Senior's teeth. A voice declares they are leaving, ending the fight. As the moon shines overhead, Shuji confronts Iku, telling him he shouldn't have gotten involved. Iku reacts with surprise and distress, unsure how to respond to Shuji's words. Instead of words, Iku wordlessly offers Shuji a piece of food. That simple gesture was the beginning of their bond. Looking back, Iku recalls that Shuji identified himself as his senior. They became closer than comrades, forming a bond like sworn brothers. Shuji introduces himself, his eyes sharp under the moonlight. Looking straight at Iku, Shuji asks for his name. Iku finally introduces himself, saying his name. Time passes, and then one fateful day arrives. As they fought desperately for survival, something critical happened. A desperate cry rings out. Shuji screams out in desperation, calling Shuji. Shuji screams out in desperation. Suddenly, a blood demon named Ko-Kufu appears. The demon holds Shuji over the abyss as Iku demands his release. Iku stands far, threatening to ignite a flare. Ko-Kufu grips Shuji, who cries out for Iku to run. As Ko-Kufu turns with chilling aura, an ominous silence hangs in the air. Iku repeats his demand for Shuji's release. Iku stands ready, challenging the demon. Ko-Kufu chillingly accepts. He declares he will let Shuji go. Shuji reacts in shock. Shuji has suddenly started falling downwards. As Iku screams in terror as he plummets, the demon smirks, asking why they aren't pleased after getting what they wanted. Iku screams in rage, unleashing a glowing attack. Shuji reaches out frantically, trying to stop the thrown object. Listening this, Iku's expression shifts to stunned surprise. High on the mountain, the demon stands dramatically under the moon. Shuji struggles to hold on, yelling for the other to run. The figure cuts him off, ordering him to listen instead of trying to escape. He proposes a deal: find him an herb to heal his internal wounds. In return, he promises to grant them the strength they need to survive. Shuji and Iku exchange bewildered glances, processing the offer. A tense silence falls over the scene. The demon demands an answer, his eyes burning red. Both Iku and Shuji look on, stunned by the gravity of the situation. They realize deep down there was no other option left. Their response begins, considering the weight of the offer, a decision that visibly strains both Shuji and Iku. Finally, they voice their acceptance. The old man lets out a scoff from the rocky peaks after hearing their response. Standing bound amidst the night sky, the old man exudes a dark, potent presence. His dark power swells around him like a jagged mountain. He states he saw a decent look in their eyes.
Then we got to know there are beings known as unrestrained demon. They are the souls of humans devoured by tigers, fallen into demonic corruption, becoming subordinates, offering souls to elevate their master's spiritual rank. Like the tiger tearing apart its prey, the demonic technique demon devised follows the same principle, absorbing the grudges of the dead to raise one's spiritual rank. This is the face of one who has mastered such a technique. The technique is called Art of the Unrestrained Demon, with 3 stages: compression, tempering, and transcendence, each having 10 levels. Upon reaching the compression stage, demonic energy can be emitted like steam, and Shuji and Iku stand ready against the threat. At the tempering stage, your blood transforms into deadly poison, releasing demonic energy as if blood is spurting out, as seen by Iku's weapon. The next step is to attain the transcendent stage. Demon use that to trample the world, ascending 4 levels within that stage, and in doing so, concepts like good, evil, and even demonic lost all meaning to him. Ominous teachings about slaughter and destiny echoed through chaotic fighting. Shuji fought fiercely, his face grim with determination amidst the blood. Behind him, Iku battled, his glowing eyes filled with rage. Demon promised this ending battle was the path to change their fate. Their pained faces showed in close-up as Iku calls for Shuji. Shuji's desperate call followed Iku, reflecting their struggle. Facing a relentless storm of enemies, they vowed to survive, no matter what. The horde pressed in, surrounding them. A stark change in scene, demon meditation declaring, "This is our final deal." Shuji and Iku knelt before him in the desolate space. Demon set their task, fetching the rare 100-year snow ginseng. His eyes glowed red as he challenged them. Can they do it? Shuji agrees instantly, but caught off guard, Iku pleads for a moment. He explains the 100-year snow ginseng is currently beyond their reach. Desperate, Iku asks for help unlocking their vital meridians first. The demon they address remains silent, their red eyes glinting. The figure states using their current herbs could open the meridians, enabling them to get the final ingredient. He adds that any missing herbs can be gathered later. The figure's expression darkens slightly. Finally, the demon agrees. Shuji and Iku react with stunned surprise. Hesitant, Iku urges Shuji to go first, but Shuji immediately refuses. Iku grows angry, insisting Shuji must unlock his meridians now. Iku punches his fist, declaring he will gather herbs while Shuji does so. He finishes by ordering Shuji to collect more herbs afterward. Iku explains the difficulty of the task, while Shuji listens intently. Shuji looks down, considering the implications. Their fists meet in a gesture of understanding under the rain. Rain continues to fall on the ground. Time passes. A Shuji walks through the rain, wounded, bleeding, and tired. The figure struggles forward, arrows protruding from his body.
Despite his injuries, Shuji holds up the gathered herbs, promising everything will be okay. A silent hope hangs in the air that things will turn out well. Suddenly, Shuji is struck by force, electrical energy flaring around him. The world fades to black with a sharp sound. He saw a headless demon with head on floor. The ground is soaked in blood and debris, hinting at a recent struggle. Injured and bloody, Aku looks up from the depths of the cave. He focuses on someone nearby, stating they finally appeared. A bloodied Aku grins, a disturbing look in his eyes as he addresses someone. He grips his weapon, his bloody hand tight around the handle, the intensity rising. Shuji's eyes widen in shock and horror, rain streaming down his face. Shuji runs towards Aku. Shuji, covered in blood and arrows, cries out in confusion and disbelief at the scene. Supported by Shuji, the injured Aku tries to dismiss the shock. Looking up, the injured Aku reveals they knew the truth all along. Survival was never an option.
Shuji explains they had no choice but to strike first to survive the battle. Aku is left injured and shocked by the harsh reality they faced. Shuji holds the wounded Aku, who questions if Aku planned for him to take the brunt of the attack. Aku reveals their enemy was prepared for a mutual kill from the very beginning. Aku adds that the enemy's power is now completely gone, their energy destroyed. Shuji looks down, confused by these unexpected revelations. Aku asks Shuji if he knows why he was spared. He explains it was because Shuji was once part of the Tiger Enforcement Bureau. Shuji snaps back, asking how he could possibly know such a thing. Aku then reveals that he is actually the last surviving member of the destroyed Tiger Pit sect. Aku reminds Shuji that he once worked for the Tiger Enforcement Bureau for a time. He adds that Shuji had spoken of the kind leaders of the Tiger Pit sect. Aku lies wounded, his mind drifting to the moment he began to see the other person as family. He recalls how that person was the only one who ever spoke fondly of his parents. With a pained breath, Aku closes his eyes, truly glad for their meeting. His strength fades and his hand slips away. A desperate plea lingers in the air. "Please, avenge me." Shuji's hand grips Aku's in a final bloody grasp. A harsh sound cuts through the moment. With a sharp tear, Shuji breaks free, his resolve hardening to prevent future sorrow. He vows to ensure that the very reason for vengeance never exists in this life. Now coming back to present, Shuji rides through the bustling city, his face set with purpose. His immediate mission? Protect the Hu clan from ruin. Having already made a difference in this timeline, Shuji looks toward the distance, sensing the future is already changing. The path ahead was clear, but it wasn't enough, he thought. Shuji arrived at the Grand Gate, wondering if this was indeed his destination. As came down calling out a person walking nearby, man's face twisted in bewildered confusion. Shuji simply raised a hand indicating he just wanted to ask a question. Man's confusion instantly ignited into furious indignation. Lashing out, Aku swung a punch at Shuji, but in a flash, Shuji grabbed man's head, his eyes burning with intense power, silencing the man's rant. Shuji's gaze was unwavering, demanding to be quiet. He simply repeated his request, needing an answer to his question. As man cries out loud, he points towards the building, wondering if it's the Tiger Pit sect after so long. Man, kneeling, confirms loudly that it is indeed the sect. Shuji asks about the sect leader and his wife by name. Man shouts again in strong agreement. Shuji then asks if their son's name is Aku. Man yells back in shock, denying it is incorrect. Shuji reacts with surprised confusion. Getting closer, Shuji asks again in disbelief if their son isn't Aku. Man looks down, hesitantly confirming that Shuji is right, but Shuji's eyes widen in shock, fearing that going back in time has changed reality. He turns slightly, pondering how everything else he knows matches up with his past life. Shuji looks back towards Man, intensely questioning what this difference could mean. Suddenly, Man cries out in fear. Shuji grabs Man by the collar, his face serious, demanding that Manko tell him the truth. With an intense gaze, Shuji states that if he go Tiger Pit sect and find someone named Ko-Iku, then what? Man, looking surprised, insists the person Shuji seeks is indeed there. Shuji reacts with confusion at this answer. Man questions Shuji's surprise, reminding him of their previous conversation. Aku shouts in shock, recalling Shuji's question about a son named Ko-Iku. Visibly upset, Man demands to know why Shuji would assume Ko-Iku is male. Man continues his distressed outcry, emphasizing the lack of sons.
He emphatically clarifies that the Tiger Pit sect only has a daughter. The beautiful Lady Ko-iku appears, listening Shuji utterly stunned. Shuji, bewildered by this revelation, reacts to the unexpected sight. Speaks in shock, Lady Ko-iku is a woman. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please leave comment. It will boost our morale to keep going. Shuji states there's no need to know his enemy's name because no matter who they are, he will kill them all. He then asks if the blacksmith has work clothes and poison. The blacksmith looks up from inside a room, seemingly surprised, and lets out a dry laugh. He asks if Shuji thinks a blacksmith would sell things like that. The blacksmith then throws a pot and cloths toward Shuji, revealing that the bear hide belongs to a creature that killed 74 people. Shuji holds up a piece of clothing. The blacksmith then explains that the jar contains deadly poison from the Mayo tribe, though he admits he never checked if it's real. Shuji examines the potion he received, seeming to evaluate it. A cloud of green substance appears around the pot as Shuji opens it. He tells the blacksmith he got conned by the shopkeeper. The blacksmith reacts with the stain. Despite that, Shuji says he will still take the potion, noting it is not as good as Mayo poison but should still be useful. Shuji says he will pick up the item he ordered tomorrow. Suddenly, Shuji seems to notice something. He looks intently at a bone which gives off a dark aura and asks, "What is the staff?" The blacksmith explains he used it for putting down livestock and asks if something is wrong with it. Shuji comments that the staff is not bad and asks to borrow it until his order is ready. Then he starts walking away. There is a silent pause. The blacksmith looks down and thinks, "What a strange guy," wondering if the person could be a ghost. He then decides it doesn't matter if Shuji is a ghost or not, as long as he gets to avenge his daughter. He thinks that his life is a small price for revenge, as he coughs, struggling. The scene shifts to a large, imposing gate illuminated at night, identified as the main gate of the Black Dao sect. Two figures stand lookout, noticing something strange. Shuji walks towards them from the village street. One figure questions who he is. Another figure tells Shuji they are in an important meeting and he cannot pass this point. He walks to face Shuji. One figure asks what Shuji is holding and tells him to leave as it smells awful. The figure wonders if Shuji didn't hear him, but Shuji attacks suddenly, accompanied by a violent sound. He strikes him in the head as Shuji's eyes glow. Shuji stands with glowing eyes as another figure screams in fear, asking who Shuji is. Shuji stands over a fallen figure holding a bone weapon surrounded by red energy and dark power. The figure identifies the weapon as a horse's bone as Shuji strikes him too, splattering blood. Shuji holds his bloodied weapon, thinking it could be useful. He thinks of the Black Dao sect and remembers how they let many escape before the regression, and how the enemy's counterattack cost them many lives. But because of that, Shuji knows how this guy runs when he flees. This time, Shuji vows to kill every last one of them. Bodies fall through the doorways with sounds of pain. More figures lie dead on the bloody ground. A figure falls screaming in pain while another fallen figure cries out amidst the carnage. Shuji walks stoic amidst the devastation, his gaze fixed, his eyes narrow, reflecting the turmoil around him. He seems to notice something unexpected. "What's all the noise?" he asks. A man from the hall states dismissively, "Oh, just a brat." In the midst of the carnage, the man confronts Shuji, who is blocking his path, asking, "You the one causing all this commotion?" One of the men, his face twitched, growled, "I was having a nice nap, and you ruined it." The man with the eye patch spoke, "The sect leader is in a meeting with a guest. You'll be dealt with swiftly," showing his confidence about the fight. Shuji internally assesses the men before him, recognizing their strength. He realizes they must be the notorious four elites of the Black Dao sect. Right? He challenges. The man from earlier shouts in fury, "Cocky little runt," as he gets a kick in the stomach. His reflection shows Shuji as a demon, as tears stream from his eyes. The man screams in agony and fury. With blinding speed, Shuji flashes towards another opponent and plucks the man's eyes out with his fingers. He cries out loud. The one-eyed fighter lunges forward with his blade to attack Shuji, calling him a little punk. The chaotic fight rages on between Shuji and the remaining two fighters. Shuji swings a bloodied bone, then slams his foot down with explosive force and throws the bone. It lands in the eye-patched man with brutal impact and spins away into the darkness. Shuji catches his bloodied bone, determination in his eyes. An attack flashes past. Shuji leaps through the air, holding the bone towards the man whom he had blinded earlier. As the man was crying about his eyes, a brutal attack lands, splattering blood. Crawling on the ground, the first man curses, vowing revenge, as the bloodied bone weapon lies discarded. Shuji faces him, speaking about how they have always taken from others. The man leaps toward Shuji as mid-battle Shuji taunts him. Shuji uses a vase as a weapon, shattering it against his opponent, who cries out in pain as he gets struck.
The man collapses, injured from the blow. Shuji comments casually on the situation. He stands, his eyes glowing with sinister intent, and declares his true purpose is to steal souls. The bald man reacts in pain and shock, stunned by Shuji's brutality. He thinks that even notorious sects don't fight this ferociously, and is shocked that Shuji is using just a horsebone as a weapon as he stares in disbelief at the mysterious and violent figure. Shuji is engulfed in menacing red energy as the bald man thinks Shuji is a monster. Blood drips from his clothes and hands as he walks. The bald man lets out a TCH as he clenches his jaw, gripping his sword tightly, trembling. Shuji's eyes glow with an ominous light. Sweat beads on his terrified face as he groans. The bald man screams in agony as Shuji attacks. Shuji exhales slowly amidst the lingering power, delivering a fierce blow that shatters blood and shakes the air. The bald man lets out pained gasps. Shuji stood over him and spoke. The bald man yelled, demanding to know who he was and who sent him. Shuji replied, naming the blacksmith. Shuji's eyes burned red with power. The bald man looked shocked, asking, "What?" and repeated the name in disbelief. A splash of blood erupted as Shuji stood among the defeated elites of the Black Tao sect. He declared that their deaths should be enough for the payment. Shuji called out to the shopkeeper. Chapter 5 ends here. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please leave comment. It will boost our morale to keep going. An ominous red sky hung over the main gate of the Black Tao sect. Someone off-screen acknowledged a failed mission. Inside, two figures were seated at a table, one speaking with frustration, stating that the master and young master were furious. He elaborated on how easy the mission should have been, a chance to gain both the stolen goods and reward money. The scarred man looked intensely angry, veins showing on his forehead as he cursed those who failed. The man with the gray hair, identified as Gu Yuho, the Black Tao sect leader, clenched his fist in silent rage. The other man revealed that the ambush had failed, costing them men, and now they couldn't even pay tribute to the evil alliance. He wondered aloud what would happen if the money-collecting demon appeared, causing anger to grip Gu Yuho's face. The Black Tao sect leader was furious, lamenting that the situation had gotten out of hand. He clenched his fist, unable to believe that the men they sent to wipe out the Tiger Enforcement Bureau were defeated instead. In a flashback, Shuji stood alone in the aftermath, as the sect leader explained that since no one returned alive, they had no idea what had happened. The scar-faced man regretted not sending one of the 4 Black Tao elites from the beginning. The sect leader argued that he didn't think things would turn out like this, and that if they had been told how strong the Tiger Pit sect's guards were earlier, they wouldn't be in this mess. The other man scoffed, asking if the Black Tao sect leader was saying it was their fault. He slammed his hand on the table, stating he wanted to make one thing clear, and warned him sharply that if they screwed up again, they were all dead. He asked if he understood. The Black Tao sect leader sighed and said he understood. The man spoke about how the sect was cornered unless the transport failed, which would stop the young master's marriage plans. Another character stated that the brat wouldn't rest until he got the girl. The Black Tao sect leader shouted that he already understood and yelled continuously that enough was enough. A sudden noise alarmed them. The man and the Black Tao sect leader looked startled. The sect leader wondered what the sound was and if it came from the entrance, thinking about the 4 elites who should be guarding it. As more sounds were heard, both men looked even more shocked. Shadows moved behind the red wall panels. They waited, tense, as a silhouette stopped at the door. A figure stepped inside, casting a shadow, and threw bloody heads through the air. The man gasped in alarm, staring in disbelief at the severed heads on the floor. He recognized them as the heads of the 4 elites and panicked, wondering if the Orthodox sect had sent a master. Shuji stood in the doorway, covered in blood, his eyes glowing. The man shouted for him to wait, claiming he was from the Zhao clan and had nothing to do with the Black Tao. He desperately tried to explain himself to Shuji, pleading that he only came to negotiate today. Shuji remained silent, a grim expression on his face as he bit his own lips. Judging by the scene, Shuji was here to wipe them out. "So, how about I lend a hand?" the man suggested. Suddenly he cried out, "Ah! What the hell?" as Shuji spat blood into his eyes. "What are you doing?" the man demanded, insisting, "I'm from the Zhao clan." He pleaded that he was not part of the Black Dao, but his words were cut short by another cry of "Ah!" He began to scream in agony as black smoke billowed from his eyes. Shuji recalled, "Those skilled in the supreme demonic arts are called demon breakers. The blood of a demon breaker is a deadly poison to martial artists." Shuji thought to himself that while it wasn't as lethal as a true demon breaker's poison, it should sting like being hit with chili powder, a smirk finishing his thought. "Gah! Damn it!" the man cursed in pain, shouting, "What the hell is wrong with you?" as he drew his sword and struck. Shuji moved swiftly, avoiding the blow. Shuji observed that the man's martial prowess was first-rate, but not yet on par with the 4 elites. He began to gather red energy around his bone weapon. The man and the Black Dao sect leader looked on in utter shock. The sect leader seemed to recognize the demonic arts as vicious red power gathered around Shuji. The man swung his sword, telling Shuji he was not orthodox at all. He was a mad demon. Shuji moved instantly, countering the attack and striking true, slicing across the man's leg and causing him to fall. Shuji then unleashed a devastating attack on his face, wreathed in red energy. His opponent cried out from the impact as Shuji's eyes glowed menacingly with a demonic aura. Blood splattered violently across the ground where a severed hand came to rest in a growing pool. The Black Dao sect leader grimaced in agony, recalling what he knew about users of demonic arts. They transcend the divide between orthodox and unorthodox. They are evil incarnate, the one enemy all of the martial world must destroy. And one of those monsters shows up in our Black Dao sect? He thought in terror. Demon users are savage beasts until they reach a certain realm. All they know is slaughter. While Shuji was distracted by the Zhao guy, he schemed. He could slip out and contact the Evil Alliance, or if that failed, maybe the Martial Alliance. Suddenly, Shuji called out his name, asking, "It's really you, isn't it?" The sect leader was shocked, thinking, "Does this guy still have his sanity? Even after mastering demonic arts, he's still sane?" He recognized Shuji as a peak stage master, adding to his surprise that he was controlling demonic energy. The sect leader's eyes showed fear as he dripped with sweat. He bowed on the bloody floor, begging Shuji for forgiveness and pleading for his life, offering anything Shuji asked. The sect leader revealed that today was the deadline for the Evil Alliance's tribute, fearing he would lose his head if something went wrong, and telling Shuji that he might be inconvenienced as well. Shuji stood over the groveling leader, considering his words, finding the man more aware than he expected. Shuji then gave his condition: give up his martial arts. The Black Dao sect leader's face contorted in pain and sweat. "My martial arts?" he asked in shock. Shuji stated that if he refused, he would be killed. The sect leader slumped on the blood-soaked floor, his hand trembling on the ground, drenched in sweat. He let out a pained sound, thinking that giving up his martial arts was like death. He resolved to strike back just once. He gritted his teeth, readying his weapon to strike, but Shuji remarked that he knew it, calling him a coward who only talks big. A brutal red bone attack slammed into the sect leader, who reacted with shocked surprise. Shuji delivered a powerful blow with immense force, sending blood flying. The sect leader cried out in pain as blood splattered from his head. Observing the energy from the attack, he realized Shuji was not a peak stage master after all. The wounded sect leader dismissed his attacker as insignificant. "How dare you try to deceive me?" he shouted in fury. Shuji smirked, unfazed by the outburst, thinking to himself how pathetic the man was. But, Shuji stated, this only made his task simpler. A terrifying surge of dark red power erupted around him, and with a menacing glow in his eyes, Shuji declared it was time to cleanse the Black Tao. Shuji's strike lands true, sending blood flying. Man stumbles back, surprised by Shuji's aura. This aura? You're not a master of ecstasy after all, a mere second-rate swordsman, and you dared deceive me? His face contorts in pain and disbelief. No way! His hand falls limp. Did he do something tricky with that last strike? Sect leader wonders. I should thank you, Shuji says. Normally, you would have been a real pain to deal with. Shuji stands over the fallen sect leader, his power manifesting as fiery dragons. But you misunderstood on your own, and that made things a lot easier. Keh! The sect leader cries out, his body consumed by the red energy. Die! You too! Let's die together, leader! Blood Demons calls out to him. Sect leader cries out as he is struck by a sudden force. Shuji presses his attack with fierce speed, his weapon stained crimson. The sect leader gasps in pain from the blow. Shuji continues his assault without hesitation. The sect leader curses, unable to counter. Another powerful strike sends the sect leader sprawling. Shuji stands over his defeated opponent, his weapon ready. The sect leader lies injured, questioning the technique used against him. Wild yet disciplined, like an assassin yet with the poise of a true warrior. As Shuji attacks intensely, sect leader think, movements that can't be predicted, designed to kill the enemy no matter the situation. It's like a demon on the battlefield. Shuji fights surrounded by red spheres. He swang the bone as. An enemy screams, blood sprays out. A powerful hit lands. As enemy thrown to the wall, papers are flying everywhere, making a painful sounds. Shuji walks towards him holding bloodied bone. Shuji stands, making a small sound, catches the paper. Shuji confronted the injured sect leader. He accused the leader of kidnapping women and building his sect with their misery. The Tiger Pit sect leader cried out in pain and looked up in fear. Shuji added that the leader was also deep in debt. He called Shuji a mighty warrior and admitted he was wrong. He begged Shuji to spare him, promising never to repeat his actions. Shuji, holding a flaming torch, stood over him. He asked the sect leader, how many were there? The injured leader seemed confused or didn't understand the question. Shuji's eyes were intense as the torch flared beside him. He rephrased his question, asking how many had begged for their lives just like the sect leader was doing now. Sweat and tears ran down the sect leader's face as he pleaded again. Shuji throws the torch on him. The sect leader desperately begged for forgiveness. The flames erupted intensely. Sect leader shrieked, offering to do anything to be spared. Shuji stood watching as the Tiger Pit sect leader was engulfed in fire. A final, agonizing scream escaped the burning man. Shuji raises his bloodied bone high in the flames. He declares this should help ease the regret of the Tiger Enforcement Bureau. Man reacts in shock. He realizes he's from the Tiger Enforcement Bureau. He questioned if he is the root of all the recent trouble. Shuji's eyes burn with intensity. Bloody strikes erupt as Man was dealt with. Flames consume the scene as a hand falls. Shuji stands before a towering fire as Man was burning. Shuji lets out a heavy breath, weary. He observes the defeated Black Tao sect leader lying in the fire. Shuji considers the Black Tao sect leader might actually be worth something. The inferno rages. Calls were heard urging their master this way. They urged him to hurry. Shuji paused, holding the bloodied bone. He seemed confused by the shouts. Bloody, Shuji stepped out from the doorway. An enemy questioned who this brat was. Others didn't care, ordering him killed. Shuji looked up, weary. He knew it was going to be a long night. The scene shifted to a busy town square. A voice asks if they heard the rumor. Someone shares a detail they heard from a former Black Tao worker. Another man confirms, last night the whole sect was wiped out and burned down. His listeners are surprised. One expresses satisfaction that they totally deserved that. Another man loudly agrees, saying the Tiger Pit sect suffered because of them too. Someone questions if the Tiger Pit sect was affected. Someone explains that Black Dao apparently bought Tiger Pit's debts from the Chenjiang. They also mention Black Dao would show up here sometimes and stir up trouble. Because Black Dao was wiped out, those debts are now worthless, putting Tiger Pit ahead. The men express amazement, calling the warrior a hero. Shuji was lying nearby. Suddenly, a voice calls out to a rookie, asking if they finished cleaning the horse crap. Shuji sits silently, receiving the command. Man glares at Shuji, demanding to know what's wrong with his face. He warns Shuji, asking if he has a problem. Shuji thinks to himself, finding the situation bothersome, wondering if he should flash his gold token. He quickly dismisses the idea, thinking it's better not to. Shuji decides he needs to stay hidden until things are settled with the Zhao clan. Suddenly, the man erupts in frustration, declaring he's had enough. Man aggressively showing fist to Shuji, telling him he'd better listen. Suddenly a voice shouts, addressing you two. Shuji and Man looks towards where the shout came from. Someone starts walking in as voice tells the man to stop picking on the new guy, Shuji. Shuji recognizes the voice. The figure continues speaking, admitting they aren't too familiar with the local traditions. But recruiting new people requires consideration. It was Eiko. Don't you think so? She asks, with a faint smile on her face. This brat, this kid just won't listen to anything I say, Wu Ten grumbles, rubbing his head. He's still just a kid, Eiko replies gently. It's probably his first time doing this kind of work, so be patient and teach him. But he's just some drifter, Wu Ten says dismissively. He'll be gone soon anyway. They say even a brush of sleeves is fate, right? Eiko counters, pointing her finger. That's why we have to treasure every connection. Life is unpredictable, she adds. You might run into each other again in some far-off place. You could even become family. As if I'd ever meet this guy again, Wu Ten thinks. Another man thinks. Far-off place. This is Anhui province. Who's even leaving here anyway? Hey, are you the new guy? Eiko asks cheerfully, looking at Shuji. Shuji's intense gaze shows surprise. Eiko speaks gently, offering protection from bullies. Eiko confirms her promise with a smile. Shuji stares, looking stunned by her beauty. Remembering past version of Eiko beside the current one, Shuji thought her appearance and voice are nothing like he remembers. The thought continues. He notes her eyes haven't changed. Then he expresses that Eiko hasn't changed a bit. Shuji smiles slightly, speaking to Eiko. Eiko looks confused by Shuji's remark. Shuji promises that if anyone bullies her again, she should come tell him. As both looked at each other, Eiko looks on in wide surprise. Behind her, Wu Ten and other man reel back in shock. One of them angrily starts scolding Shuji. Eiko smiles gently, agreeing to Shuji's word that she will tell him. Shuji smiles back. Scene shifts. The full moon casts a pale light over the town at night. Shuji stands quietly on the ground, in front of dried grass. His weapons and tools were laid under the grass. He starts gathering his things and securing a pouch at his waist. Shuji reflects that he has avenged the escort warriors and the shopkeeper. He grips his staff firmly and starts moving. He declares, "From here on, it's time to go after my sworn brother's killer."